She's kind of a fruitcake, yeah. Okay. All right, so looking at this graph, is the limit of f of x as x goes towards 6 from the left negative 1? Garrett says sure. That doesn't sound like a very good answer. I want a yes or no. Yes, it does. Is the limit as x approaches 6 the same as the value of f of 6? No, because the value at f of 6 is negative 3. The limit as x approaches 6 is negative 1. Is the limit of f of x as x approaches 2 from the left negative 1? Yes. Is the limit of f of x as x approaches 2 1? What is the limit as x approaches 2? Does not exist because it goes two different places. So you'll have some questions like that on your quiz, on your test, where you have to look and see whether things work or don't work. This one, when you first substitute numbers, you get 0 over 0. Okay? Then, if we factor out x squared on the top, we get 5x squared plus 8. As we factor out x squared on the bottom, we get 3x squared minus 16. These cancel. Goodbye. So, then if we put in a 0, we get 8 over negative 16, which is negative 1/2. So, the AP Classroom test is all multiple choice. So they'll have 5 choices for each. Okay? It's all multiple choice. So you don't have to fill in answers. All right. What's the limit for this function? If you had no idea what to do, what should you do? Graph it on the graphing calculator. And when you graph it on the graphing calculator, what you'll see is it goes like this. Okay? As you're going towards 2 from the right, where is it approaching? Well, it's approaching 1. Has a y value of 1 all the way along here. Because if you put in 3 on the top and bottom, it's 1. If you put in 4 on top and bottom, it's 1. If you put in 5 on top and bottom, it's 1. So no matter what it is, it's 1. Okay? And down here, it's negative 1. Well, we're going from the right, approaching 2 from the right. Okay? All right. This one. What's the limit as f of x approaches negative 3 from the left? Which one is from the left? The top one or the bottom one? Top one or bottom one? Which one is coming from the left? Top one is coming from the left because that's numbers less than negative 3. So if we stick negative 3 in the top one, we get 9 minus 15 plus 6, which is 0. What's the limit as x approaches negative 3 from the right? So it's the bottom one. 9 minus 9 is 0. So what's the limit? 0, because they both match. Which of the following graphs, this only has 4 graphs, this is how a multiple choice will look for some of these tables. Which one is the best description as x approaches 7 that the value of the limit is 6? So you want the y value to equal 6 as you're going towards 7. This is going towards 6. It doesn't make sense. This one's going towards 7, this one's going towards 7, and this one's going towards 7. Which one has a limit going towards 6? B, C, or D? See how this one's going up and this one's going towards 6? Well, that doesn't work. This one's going towards 6, this one's going towards 7. That doesn't work. This is where they're both going towards 6. So it's B. Limit as x approaches infinity here. When x approaches infinity, you're looking for a horizontal asymptote. So then you look at the coefficients of your highest powered terms. First, you look at the powers. Powers are the same. So then you look at the coefficients. You got a 1 and a negative 1 here. So it is negative 1. Intermediate value theorem. What would k have to be to ensure at least one y value of 1 between negative 2 and 4? Okay. What would k have to be to make that work? Could it be 10, 5, 0, or does not exist? For the intermediate value theorem to have a y value of 1 somewhere in between 2 and 4. Lots of silence here. If you had a 10 in here, does that ensure there's a 1 in between 6 and 10 and a 1 in between 10 and 5? No, 10 is out. What about a 5? Is 1 in between either of those? No. We had a 0 in here. Is there a 1 in between 6 and 0? Is there 1 in between 0 and 5? Yep. So if it's 0, that would ensure at least 1. And generally, it would kind of have to be 2. 2 different times you hit 1 in between there. Okay? All right. As you're going towards negative infinity here, the top would be 4x to the third. The bottom would be 3x to the third. But since you're going towards negative infinity and you have an odd power, it is negative 4/3. This one is 4x squared. So even power, as we go towards negative infinity, is a positive 4/3. See the difference there? Okay, that's where I screwed up the other day because I couldn't remember. What does k have to be to make this graph continuous? Well, if we stick a negative 1/2 in here, what does the denominator become here? 0. So what I would do is I would graph this on my graphing calculator. So if we graph it on your graphing calculator, because at 0, we're at negative 1, I think. We're at negative 1. Where are we at? We're at some other number. I just got to see the graph of it. Okay. Nice. So looking at this graph, it makes some asymptotes at negative 1/2. So what would k have to be to make that continuous? Well, since one graph goes like this, the other graph goes like this, they're going opposite places. Is there any k I can put in there to make it continuous? The answer is none. There is no value of k that would make that continuous. Okay? There's no value of k that would make that continuous. Now, if the graph was like this and had a hole in it, then you would use what makes the hole. Okay? So let's say that instead of that function, we had 3x plus 1, x, or 2x plus 1, and then 4x plus 2. Okay? If we have this function, what happens is we can take a 2 out of the bottom. The 2x plus 1's cancel. If I put a negative 1/2 in here, 3 times negative 1/2 is negative 1.5 plus 1 over 2, which is negative 0.5 over 2, which is negative 1/2 over 2, which is negative 1/4. So negative 1/4 would be the number where it would work. That would be the limit as x approaches negative 1/2. So that's what would make it a continuous function. Okay? All right. So those are some of the things to know for your AP Classroom test on Unit 1. There's I think there's 25 questions, but I don't remember. I'll have to look that up. All right? So there you go. The rest of today, you have to work on Khan Academy test. You'll have all of Friday to work on Khan Academy test. And then Monday, we'll take the AP Classroom test. So make sure you know how to log into AP Classroom. So you might want to check that you can log into AP Classroom before Monday.